How's it going, everybody? This is Beat the Bush. Today I'm going to help you select the perfect mechanical keyboard because there's just so many different features out there. You have to select the right one that's right for you. This is the TH85 from Epomaker. I'm going to go over all the tiny little features and you can narrow it down so at least you'll know all the features that you're looking for, and then you can go out there and find a keyboard that matches your preferences. Do you want a full-size one? 80% keyboard, 65%, or they have these really minimalist one where it only has the typing keys for the letters, so you only have 4 rows. If you do a lot of number entry, you might want a dedicated number keypad or one on the side right here. The more compact it is, the more overloaded some of the keys are. So for me, I use the home and end, page up and page down a lot. So in order to push that, you have to push function and then home. This might or might not be an issue depending on how many times you press it in a day. I've used this method for a while and I got kind of sick of it because it's just more things to do. And in this 65%, you also kind of have to do that because the home button is not over here. You have a page up, page down, but not home and end. So you still have to push function and then page up for home. Finally, you have this TH85 where the home button's actually present on here. So you get the idea. The higher a percentage a keyboard you have, the more dedicated keys that you have, including these function keys on top. In order to buy the perfect keyboard, you gotta really know yourself. How many times do you press each key? How often do you use it? Do you want it split? Look at that. The ergonomics of it all, right? You can put your keyboards across like this, and I just made a video on this saying that this is really, really comfortable, and it is. You also have to think about, where does your mouse go now? Does it go even further on the right? Because if you're super comfortable, have your hands apart like this and typing. If you need to use your mouse a lot, you have to switch over, and having this extra wide space doesn't make your mouse very ergonomic. You have to reach over more on the right. So what I found myself doing with this split keyboard was actually joining it together and putting my mouse on the right over here. It turns out that I actually don't really want a split keyboard after all. The keyboards that are split apart like this are very expensive, so you definitely want to know if you are really going to use it or not. These keyboards have come a long way. This used to be about the same price as this one it is now. This one is wired only and it's maybe like 4 or 5 years old. It has a dedicated switch for Mac or Windows. You can use the proprietary 2.4 gigahertz wireless connection. You can use a USB port through this USBC over here, or you can use your regular plain old vanilla Bluetooth. Having this tri-mode connectivity is very nice because you can use the wireless function. If you run out of battery at some point, you can just plug it in and keep on going. If you want really low latency and wireless connectivity, you can use the proprietary 2.4 gigahertz dongle. It's under this leg over here. Look at that. That's a neat trick so that you don't lose it. Because it's wireless, it has a built-in 4000 milliamp hour battery. And of course, most keyboards have this, which is like little leg stands over here to make it elevated. Personally, I don't recommend to use that because when you elevate it, your wrist tends to go upwards. You don't want that. For being most ergonomic, you actually want it flat on your table so your hand can be completely straight like this. 2 of the major types of plastics that's used for the keycaps is ABS and PBT. ABS is what they used to use and they tend to smooth out as you use them a lot. So you'll notice that the center of the keys gets smooth and it kind of makes the entire keyboard look kind of old and worn out. So nowadays they use PBT, which is a more durable material. Very solid feeling. Here's a manual. There's a lot of different languages, that's why it's so thick. And you have a braided USB-A to USB-C cable, key puller, and 2 extra keys. Sometimes if you leave your keyboard around, you're gonna get a layer of dust on every single key, also in between the keys, so this will prevent that from happening. All of these are PBT keycaps. This one is a single shot. What do I mean by that is if you flip it over, you can easily tell that there's only one uniform material, which is a blue color plastic, and the L is printed on, so this will indeed rub off with enough usage. In this one, which is a dual shot, if you flip it over, the insides is actually black and the outside is white. So what they do in the injection molding is create a raised L, and then they do another injection, which is why they call it a double shot, because they have to shoot it 2 times. The second shot comes in with this white material and it surrounds that L. So you can see no matter how hard or how long you rub it, the L is going to remain because that material is actually still there. The L will never ever rub off because it's the material itself, unless of course you rub it so much that the entire keycap disappears. This one is also a dual shot PBT. However, the L is a little bit translucent. The first shot of plastic is somewhat clear. The second shot is white. There's a light at the bottom of each of these keys. So when you have this translucent thing, it's gonna shine through. It's more of an aesthetic thing. Because this one does not have the see-through letters, the light's gonna shine through around the edges instead. Mechanical switches comes in 3 major categories: linear, tactile, and also clicky. The type of switch really depends on which one you like. Some people like it to click a lot as you're typing it, although that makes a lot of noise, and usually you can only use it if you're the only person in the room. The linear ones are a bit quieter. It does not allow for any tactile feedback. Now, what do I mean by tactile? This keyboard uses the Epomaker Milk Blue switch. It's a tactile switch and it has a 45-gram activation force, 2mm pre-travel, and 3.3 millimeter full travel. You compare this to, let's say, Cherry MX brown switches are typically 55 grams force. This is 45 grams, so it's a little bit lighter. The pre-travel is the same at 2 millimeters, but the full travel, this one is 3.3 and the Cherry MX is 4.0. The pre-travel is how much the button will move before it actually electronically activates. The total travel is how much it would go all the way down. So this would change how it feels. If you press it and it stops kind of really short, then it kind of feels like, oh, you're pressing like a really short keyboard. But I don't mind that. Here's the included key puller. I'm gonna pull one of the keys out. These keys are removable, so let's do that. This is a 5-pin type. These are standard Cherry MX type keycaps, so they will be compatible. Notice that there is a hole at the bottom where the LED down there can shine through. Notice from one key row to another, there's like a little slit right here. There's a pour-on sandwich foam and it looks like that's right there. There's a polycarbonate plate material right here. There's also a pour-on switch socket, part of this pad right here. But in total, it has a pour-on sandwich foam, IXPE switch pad, sound enhancement pad, pour-on switch socket pad, and bottom silicone. All of these foam layers gives it a lot of sound dampening. So when you push it, it has a fairly muted sound. And if I type it softly, I'll enhance the audio. And if I type loudly, it's a very quiet and muted keyboard. It's only held together by these little tabs on the side. Since it's spring-loaded, it just pushes itself out. If we flip it over, there are 2 pins, one on the bottom, one on top. That corresponds to this tab on the bottom and this tab on top. Just based on this metal being flexed, it's pushing itself permanently against this tab. When this plunger pushes down, it uses this and this contact point to touch this and this point. And when it does that, it pushes this and disconnects it. They do say this is pre-lube, so when I touch this, it does have like an oily feeling to it, some kind of silicone grease. On this little plunger thing, there's a little notch, a little bump right here, and that's what you're feeling when you push down on it. So if I put this right here, we can clearly see that little bump right here. It's what causes the tactile feeling. I'll push it a few times slowly so we can see the action, and this switch is activated. Let's hear the sounds. And going home, and awesome. Page up, page down. 2 millisecond latency in wired USB. And just 5 milliseconds, just a little bit more. Using the included dongle over here. And then 11 for Bluetooth 5.0. So all very acceptable, but if you want really, really good latency, if you're gaming or something, sure, plug it into the USB. N-key rollover, meaning that if you're typing and there's some kind of lag, for some whatever reason in the wireless protocol, it will actually save all those keys and make sure all those keys get pressed. QMK or via software, so you can remap the keys or whatnot. I never need to remap the keys, but if you're gaming, sometimes you want to do that, you know, just to make things easily accessible or very, very familiar to you, whatever game that you're playing. One thing I don't like is the color scheme of the black escape and enter key. I would much prefer this to be all white instead. First, I want to turn off the light, which is function, home. right there, turn it off. In the manual, it does not tell you how long this keyboard will last, but in my experience with other Epomaker keyboards with a similar tri-mode connectivity, it lasts at least 2 weeks. It does have a 4000 milliamp hour battery inside. 1000 hertz polling frequency for both the wired connectivity and the 2.4 gigahertz connectivity. If you switch to Bluetooth, it's only 125 hertz. Press function and enter. For the battery power, it says 8, so it's 80%. If it's 100%, it'll go all the way up to 0. QWE or Bluetooth connectivity, and R is the proprietary 2.4 gigahertz connectivity. Press function and hold one of them for 3 seconds until it blinks quickly. There we go. And now we can pair it in the computer. I can change the lighting effects here. Function backspace. It's kind of like a rainbow up and down, rainbow left and right, rainbow towards the center, blinking everywhere, a swirly rainbow, a twisty swirly, turning the other way, 2 twisty things, and blinking, little lights blinking everywhere, a different color scheme of the same thing, and the different modes go on and on. The front edge has this grill mark, and behind it there's also RGB LEDs. Function delete will change the lighting effect, so let's do that. Now it's green, blue, purple, light green, white, off, RGB movement, kind of blinking on and off with different light colors, around 10 different light schemes for the front LED. We can also change the color mode behind this logo by pushing function end, green, blue, purple, similar light scheme as in the front LED strip. The saturation can also be changed by pushing function, page up or down. So we're gonna increase the saturation a lot or decrease it. Right there. Function up to change the brightness or down to lower the brightness, about 10 levels or so. And also change the effect speed with the left and right. Slow it down, speed it up. If you're on a mode that only has one color, you can change the color by pushing function and the vertical bar here. Now it's green, dark green, and it just keeps on rotating through different colors as you push it. It just checks off everything. Tri-mode connectivity, low latency, dual shot PBT tactile switches, 85% layout. If you guys are interested in this keyboard, check out my affiliate link down in the video description below. Thanks for watching this video. Until next time.